Hello guys, I thought it would be fun to make a frequently asked questions video. Just started as kind of like a series. I will update it from time to time because, opinions change and the status changes. I just want to give all the answers that people come into the stream or comment under videos on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, and just give you a better idea of what I think about the game, how do I compare to League of Legends. Overall, what is my opinion on Counter-Strike now that I've played 3-4 months and I have a couple hundred hours into the game? Favorite maps, favorite players, pro scene, all that kind of stuff, and just give you a general idea. So I think some of the easier things to start with, and this has been asked a lot, is just what specs I'm running and what kind of PC I have, what kind of keyboard, mouse, what kind of, everything I'm using as equipment and what I'm playing CS with right now, especially because I have such low FPS. It's usually around like 100, 120, maybe up to 200 if it's, if I'm really lucky, and if it's optimized, or depending on the map, I guess. And yeah, just give you some insight here. I can already tell you though, it is not the best setup at all. There are a lot of things that I do want to upgrade in the future, and of course I do want to eventually upgrade. I do think it doesn't really make that much of a difference because people always ask me, how can you play with this low FPS, how you can play with this kind of equipment and do this, and why aren't you using this resolution? And there are a lot of strong opinions in CS apparently about the setup you use and all the settings you have within the game. And for me personally, I'm so new to FPS and I'm so new to the game that I honestly don't care as much on or about optimizing everything, because I always say when new viewers come in and they ask me about these things, what I say is, if you put Donk onto my setup, right? Sit him right here and he has to play on my setup with my settings. Is he really going to be stuck in Face It level 2? No, he's going to crush it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, there are so many things I still need to learn about the game before I should worry about upgrading or optimizing all my setups. Like, I am still so far away from being a proficient player and knowing enough about CS and having all these mechanics like counter strafing and peeking and jiggle, like all these kind of things in my muscle memory, that it doesn't really matter if I'm playing on 100 FPS or 500 or whatever, right? So that's my opinion on the whole setup story. Nonetheless, of course, I will give you an overview of what I'm using, and yeah, without further ado, let's check it out. Let's start with the hardware and the actual physical setup that I have, and the monitors, keyboards, mousepad, that kind of stuff. All right, let's start with the obvious. My processor is an AMD Ryzen 5 36000 6-core processor, gigahertz, whatever. I have 16 gigabyte installed RAM, and I am using Windows 10 Pro. I have a Radeon RX 580 series. My keyboard is from Trust Gaming. It's called OXT850 or CXT850, not entirely sure, but anyways, I'm pretty sure you could take this thing and surf on the waves of Hawaii. That's how big it is. Like, look at this thing. Like, it's gigantic. It's basically as long as my entire upper body. And I definitely want to upgrade, but also downgrade in this department. My viewers have been telling me about the Wu-Ting keyboard, and that's definitely what I'm looking at the moment, or like looking for in the next weeks. My mouse is the Death Adder version 2. Then I'll also show you a quick picture of how I grip my mouse and why I think I want to change that eventually a little bit. It's going to probably take me a while to adjust to a different style of using the mouse. And what bothers me is the right side, that the pinky is a little bit bunched on the side and sometimes scrapes on the mouse pad. And then precision movement is a little bit difficult. Or when I try to flick over, it bothers me, and it sometimes gets stuck and I mess up. So what I do want to eventually change to is this grip right here. So the pinky would be on the side alone without the ring finger. The ring finger would be on my right mouse, and then I have the middle finger just resting in the middle, and everything else stays the same. Now, I've also seen the donk grip and some of these other grips that apparently pros are using, and I might try that out, although I think that would be too much of a difference and way too hard to get used to now in, advanced age. And yeah, that's pretty much how I play. The chair I'm sitting on right here is from GT Player, and it's the model GT002 or something. I can't say too much about it, but I can say that this chair is sadly, yeah, it's run its course, it's broken. Every now and then, if I sit wrong or make a wrong movement on the chair while I'm playing, it just slowly goes down, and then I'm eventually sitting here like this, and it keeps going down, and then I'm sitting like this, And for everyone that plays CS, you probably know how important it is to have some like a consistent way of sitting and consistent way of playing and having your mouse and everything ready. So it's a little bit annoying, and I'm definitely gonna have to pay for a new chair as well. It is what it is, you know, I'm working with what I got so far. Next up, I'm using a G-Line 2 Gen 32 curved monitor, 240 hertz, something HDMI, something. There's just way too much on that plastic thing. But yeah, that's the monitor. That's my main monitor that I'm looking at right now. That's also where I have my Logitech HD 1080p camera on. And then as second monitor, I am using a very old Samsung. I don't even remember what brand this is. So it's nothing special. It's almost a decade old or longer, actually. It's a very old monitor. It does the trick. It's just for a second screen for me to be able to read chat while I'm playing. Having, you know, Discord open, OBS open, and all these settings, and making sure that, you know, I have enough space and enough screen to multitask. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I do want to change all that as well. I do want to have the same size monitors. I would love to have like a 3 monitor setup. Or one of those, you know, Twitch streamer monitors that are vertical and, you know, longer, where you could just have the Twitch chat. But that's all down the road. At the moment, this is what I'm using. Then for the microphone, this is probably my most expensive and my best equipment that I have. It's the Shure 7MB. And for the webcam, I use the C922 Pro Stream webcam. All right, guys, I think that covers everything from the hardware and the setup I use, the mouse I have, you know, everything I play with, the way I use it. And I also have a ring light that I actually don't know anymore where I have it from. I think it's from Amazon. It was a discount action that I just spontaneously bought. It was very cheap. If I remember correctly, it was like 20 bucks, 15 bucks, something like that. So nothing crazy. I think that covers everything. If you have any other questions, if you want to know anything about the equipment that I'm using or how I'm using it or what I think about it, let me know down in the comments. I will try to answer as much as possible. And yeah, if there's more interest in certain things throughout this entire video as well, I can, you know, include it in the next part or make a separate short video and going more into depth into this topic. That's it for this category. Let's go to the next. Now, another one of the most frequently asked questions by far, maybe even it is the most frequently asked question, is what Sens do I use? What DPI do I use? You know, resolution, yada, yada, yada. All those Counter-Strike settings that people get super obsessed and way too sensitive about. It's actually crazy. And I've had quite a debate in my chat, and I've read through a lot of forums and Reddit posts, and everyone has such a strong opinion on this. So I'm going to leave you with just my settings here for now. If you want to know my thoughts or my opinions on these things in more depth, let me know down in the comments. Then I'll make a short video just about this stuff, like 3-5 minute video, explaining my thoughts on the settings and which ones I would, you know, use or maybe not use and why. For now, though, I'll just show you my settings and yeah, give a little click through so you know what I'm playing with. Alright guys, so these are my video settings. I play with full screen, 16:9, 1920, 1080 resolution, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll show you a quick rundown of my advanced video settings. Here you go. Let me know if you would change anything here or if you think these settings are fine. I'm always open for change. I'm always open for some suggestions. I will definitely look into it. If you think something here is definitely not the right way or something that I need to change. Then audio, I am running fairly normal volume, I would say. Ambience volume is quite low. Then I'm using crisp EQ profile. People told me I should use it. I actually don't know really what it does. Isolation is not on 100%. I don't know why. Again, something that viewers have told me. And these are basically my settings. Here you go. For now, I can tell you this is, you know, it feels comfortable. This is what I'm playing with since 2 or 3 months now, and what viewers have approved so far. And then we come to one of the most important and interesting questions, I guess. My DPI is 400 with the Razer Death Adder version 2 mouse, and I use at the moment a mouse sensitivity of 2.10. Yeah, this is pretty much it. Interesting maybe to also look at my key bindings. I do have individual keybinds for every single util that I use. So Q is just very easy to reach very quickly, as well as so flashbang and smoke grenade both are very quickly accessible. I use the Molotov on X, then I have the bomb to quickly use the bomb on 5, and I have decoy on 6 and grenade on 4. Otherwise, very standard. I do jump on spacebar though, and not the scroll wheel. My ping is on V, also very easily accessible, and I use my microphone with the mouse, so I can also use that very quickly and comfortably, because I think communication is key in this game. Even though 90% of the players never use it or use it for the wrong reasons, I don't want to be one of them. And yeah, I have it readily accessible, always quickly to you know, call out something or give some information. This is the crosshair I'm using currently. I have tinkered around a little bit with this, making it a little bit bigger or making it a little bit thicker, different colors, but I have come to settle on this one right here. I think it's not too small, like the little dots that some people have, but it's also not too big, so I can still see everything on the screen. This right now feels like the best one for me personally. Also, I prefer green because blue was really difficult sometimes with the area, especially if you play Nuke or something. And red also sometimes disappeared seemingly from like the visibility when I played with red. I like green the most so far. Again, I think this is highly, you know, subjective and everyone has different preferences. Just like with the Sens, by the way. All right, that already covers the Counter-Strike settings and what I'm using currently. Next up, let's do some general questions about CS. My favorite team, probably at the moment, FaZe. I really like watching FaZe and Mongols. FaZe basically because it's the first team I've ever heard about. I also like that the players are a little bit old on the older side and experienced side, just like myself. All jokes aside, it is fun to watch FaZe. They have some really ups and downs. They always keep you on your toes. I've watched the Dallas tournament. I've watched the Austin Major so far, and I have watched a lot of games in the IM Cologne tournament. Overall, it was really fun watching some of the pro scene. I think it's not as applicable to the Counter-Strike I'm learning right now because the way they execute sites and play in a team is just not achievable in a solo queue low elo game. But it's still fun to see on, you know, like how they place their crosshair, how they move, how they use their utility. It's a very exciting pro scene, and I do think it is very fun to watch, especially because every round holds something exciting, right? There's no real downtime. Pistol rounds can be insanely fun to watch. And there's just, I think there's just so much action and so many things to watch. And it's not just running around and shooting, but there's also incredibly fun strategies to see and to watch. So I'm a big fan. I love watching pro play. The one thing I don't really understand though is there's seemingly a important tournament every 2 weeks, which doesn't really make that much sense to me personally, and it also takes away the hype a little bit. I won't be able to watch everything, and yeah, like I said, the hype just goes away a little bit for me personally. Other than that though, it is very, very entertaining to watch, and I'll definitely watch more in the future. My favorite map right now, that's also a question I get a lot, and this is hard to answer because it changes all the time. At the beginning, it was Dust 2 and Inferno, and I hated Mirage, and I hated Nuke. Like, Nuke was probably one of the worst maps for me personally, because when I started out playing this game, I knew nothing. I am completely new to CS, 0 seconds played ever before I started 2-3 months ago, and I also have very limited or barely any FPS experience, right? So Nuke was just hella confusing to play. The sound is different. There's so many angles and off angles to clear. There's so like crosshair placement is really difficult on that map. It's just very confusing to play with the layered and stacked bomb sites. Let's preserve our KDA here. Do I die here? Fuck, I just realized. I hate this map. I hate this map. I hate this map. I keep forgetting that it's stacked. And why I'm saying this is because now, 3 months in or 4 months, I actually don't know 100% how long I've been playing already, but let's just say after 450 hours roundabout in the game, I can tell you it completely switched around. Dust 2 is probably one of my most hated maps. I really like Nuke at the moment. Ancient is growing on me steadily. I start liking it a lot more. I just think it's very util heavy and team dependent, so it's a bit frustrating to play in lower elo. Face it right now. Mirage is probably my best map by far because I've played it a lot, which funnily enough, it switched around Dust and Mirage. And now it might switch around again because in Face It level 2 and 3, I swear people only know Dust 2. 90% of the games that I play is Dust 2. So, you know, eventually I might get so good on the map and learn so many things and just get so comfortable on the map that I start liking it more. Which is sad because I still think the layout of the map is just garbage. I just really don't like it. So yeah, it's hard to say, but if we're talking about right now, the situation right now, what my favorite maps are, this is what my tier list would look like. I can tell you comfortably that Train is probably my least favorite. I really liked Anubis. It was kind of a shame that they took it out. I thought it was a very interesting map to play and very fast-paced. Overpass is okay. It's a cool layout, but I just don't know the map and I don't know util, so it's pretty low as well. Favorite map has to be Nuke and Mirage. I think those two maps are just fairly balanced and fun to play. Like Mirage seems balanced on CT and T side, so there's always a chance to come back, which I really like. And there's always, yeah, good plays to be made. And it's just, for me personally, fairly fun to play. Nuke is purely out of, you know, I just like the layout. It's just now that I understand it more, it's just fun to play. And it's also easier to carry alone because there are so many ratty ways to play and spots to hide in, or, you know, you're not so team dependent, I feel like. At least that's what it feels like in lower elo. So I really like it. And all the other maps are okay. And I still like Inferno, I still like the layout, it's still interesting to me, but I can see how it's frustrating to play when there are coordinated teams. And if you have a team that is not coordinated, it's hell. If you can't access and get control over Banana, you basically lose the match. So Inferno is a little bit down from where it started at the beginning. Yeah, Dust 2, I play it every day. I have to play it every day, no matter, like, against my will. Everyone chooses Dust 2, I don't know. I've had people dodge Nuke and Ancient because they didn't get their Dust 2. And I was stuck in queue for like 10 minutes straight on Face It because people kept dodging if I picked something else than Dust 2. I don't like the layout, but, you know, maybe it's growing on me now that I'm starting to really learn some util lineups and learning some more tricks how to carry on that map. Which, by the way, little spoiler alert, I will be making a couple of videos about Dust 2 soon. Ancient is a very interesting map because sometimes I feel like it's super fun to play and sometimes it just feels awful, which in the end is a good sign. It means it's kind of balanced. So I would put it fairly high up, and it's definitely not my favorite, but it is one of the more one of the better maps. Now coming to the weapons, also a very interesting topic. My favorite weapon, AK. It's boring, but it's an obvious answer, right? Like it's challenging, it's rewarding at the same time. It's very fun to use. The AK overall, it just makes sense. One tap potential is super satisfying. The spray pattern, if you get it down, very, very cool. And skill based, you know, counter strafing. I love it. It's one of the most fun weapons. Then next to M4A4, the silenced one, because clearly it's like the easiest spray pattern to use, right? So it's very comfortable. It's a go-to weapon when you want to really win the rounds. You can't really do much wrong. Decent range. It's silenced. Like what's not to like about that weapon? The M4, the unsilenced one, is interesting to use. I think it's a little bit better on long range than the silenced one, but the spray pattern is also a little bit more tricky. You have to stay more to the left, I think. So I stay away from it usually. Take the silenced one. I hate the MP9. I still do. I hate anything that is run and gun. I think it just is less skill. And I do like the aspect of Counter-Strike that it has a high skill ceiling with good counter-strafing, good positioning, and just using your brain a little bit more. And I hate the run and gun meta. I don't like it at all. Not a fan. But it's part of the game, so there's no reason in complaining. And I do obviously sometimes use it as well because, well, it's part of the game and you have to use it if you want to win. I do like the Mech 10 a lot more than the MP9. MP9 was super broken and probably still is, but the spray pattern is harder to learn for someone like me, for a beginner. And I'm just not a fan of the gun as much. What I do like, however, are the short bursts on longer range, which is basically not possible with the Mach 10. Mach 10, you really got to get close up into the face of the enemy and just spray them down. That's basically what you have to do. And with the MP9, there is a little bit of a variance and a little bit flexibility when it comes to the duels you take. That is kind of cool, but yeah, I'm glad they took out the jump and gun and the accuracy while jumping. I'm very glad about that. Then the shotgun, the XM something shotgun, is also very fun to play. I sometimes when I'm tilted or frustrated in a game and it's not going too well, I'm not counter-strafing properly, I'm losing duels, I take the shotgun and I go into close quarters, like on Dust 2, the tunnels near B, or Inferno, I go into Eps or whatever, you know, I take those fights and I try to just run someone down with the shotgun. It gives you good money, and there's something about it, just gives you the confidence back you need to then get back into the round with proper guns. Pistols, I like the USP. I like the P250, I think it is, right? P250. Both very fun. The Glock is a little bit cheesy because you're just like, again, running gunning, right? You can jump around. It's fairly accurate. It is cool to play though if you have a coordinated team and you're swarming, you know, in the first round or in an eco round, and swarming the site with just jumping around with the Glocks. It is kind of cool, but I do think the USP is way more satisfying and takes more skill, so I would definitely prefer the USP as a gun. Deagle, I'm not a fan yet. I'm just too bad. Like it's such a hard gun to use properly. I can imagine it being unbelievably satisfying and fun to play though if you are good with counter strafing and using it properly. I often get caught off guard, you know, tapping too fast and then having no ammo because it's only 7 bullets. So with the Deagle, I struggle a lot. That's why it's a little bit lower, even though the gun itself is probably really cool to play. Coming to snipers, I am not a big fan of snipers. Now, this is an opinion that a lot of people will hate and or even be offended of. I think opping takes 0 skill in low elo. So very important addition. In my elo, I think opping takes no skill because you can hit the kneecap and get the kill. While with AK or the rifles in general, you have to counter strafe and, you know, position properly, move properly, aim properly, use the spray pattern, go for the head. And with the op, you can literally one-tap people even though you didn't even aim properly, even though you're like no scoping or whatever. So I think the snipers are hella unskilled in my elo. Again, I have to stress this because I do think that switches around really quickly as soon as you get to higher elo. And once you get to higher elo, like, I don't know, I think even at like set level 6, face level 6, 7, 8 and above, and especially now at face level 10 and much higher, I think that the snipers are probably one of the hardest to really pull off because you need perfect timing, you need to hold the right angle, you need to know where someone shows up, you need to be able to flick really well if people aggressively peek, and if you mess up, they will one-tap you and punish you instantly with an AK, right? So I do think opping gets progressively more skilled and more interesting the higher you get in elo, and is just an absolutely noob gun the lower elo you are. Again, I know I'm going to receive a lot of hate for this. I'm just not a fan of it. I like the skill expression of the AK a lot more. I like being a rifler a lot more. To each their own, you know, like enjoy the opping if you are an opper. Enjoy it, have fun. Who am I to say? But this is my honest opinion and I want to share it, so there you go. This video is already getting pretty long. I will leave it here for the first part. I will definitely include more parts in the future, and especially if you guys like watching this kind of video. There are so many more things that I want to talk about. For example, skins, right? The skin side of CS is also super interesting to me, but that's a whole different video. I will touch upon that in the next part and then briefly, you know, brush over it. And then if there's more interested about it, I will also go into more detail. I do have some skin rating videos online already, and I want to include more in the future as well. The next ones will probably be about the M4s, silenced and non-silenced. Nowadays, I do have more knowledge about skins, sadly, so it's not going to be 100% unbiased anymore, but I think it's still going to be like a little bit controversial because my taste is just different, you know, like I'm not a nostalgic CS player with all this knowledge about these skins, so I go fairly unbiased into rating these skins and the patterns and so on and so forth. And then I'll also share overall my story, how I got into CS and what I think of CS now after a couple of months of playing it. I'll compare it to League of Legends, which was one of my main games before this. I'll talk about how it is to stream this game and the player base and many more things. There are so many more things that I can cover, and yeah, stay tuned. Hope to see you there. Hope you enjoyed the video, and that's it from me today.